Joining us now to talk about his vote to impeach the president for the second time, New Jersey Democratic Congressman Tom Malinowski. Congressman Malinowski, thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks so much.
What's your attitude right now? Is this a sad day for you, a somber day for you?
It's been a sad and somber day for all of us, for the country, after this horrific event of January 6th, an attack by a mob on the United States Capitol, set upon us, I believe, by the President of the United States. It wasn't lost on me as we were standing in the House chamber today voting that we were in exactly the place that was attacked, surrounded by the Capitol police officers whose lives were also endangered. One of them died trying to defend us. And there's no question in my mind, as late as it is in the Trump presidency, that a statement needed to be made that this is something that can never be tolerated again in our country. And we made that statement today in the most bipartisan impeachment vote in American history.
Speaking of Republicans, I wanted to ask you if you saw the remarks from leader Kevin McCarthy saying that he believes the president does share culpability for what happened. He actually went out there also and said that there is no way that this was Antifa. Why not join with the Republicans together on something like censure to send a message to the president and future presidents?
All right. Well, I would censure him, but if impeachment is not about this, if this is not an impeachable act, a president inciting and encouraging a violent attack on the United States Congress to prevent us from doing our jobs, I mean, we might as well write the impeachment clause out of the Constitution. What's it there for, if not for this? So, censure is for much less offensive acts than this. And a number of Republicans, including the number 3 Republican leader in the House of Representatives, Liz Cheney, agreed with us. It seems as if Mitch McConnell might even agree with us. And the sad thing is that a number of my Republican colleagues, I think, would have voted yes today on impeachment if not for the fear that they have about the safety of their own families who have been threatened by some of these same people. So I'm convinced it was the right thing to do.
I want to ask you about that fear, though. I want to dial down on it. We're talking about not a fear of losing a career or losing a primary. You're saying that you have colleagues living in literal, visceral fear of some sort of mob targeting them.
Yeah, well, we were just targeted by a mob. And remember, the mob, the rioters who came into the Capitol, yeah, they don't like Democrats. And yes, they were screaming about Nancy Pelosi. But the people they were specifically there to pressure were Republicans. They were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." Like, this guy, Mike Pence, was loyal to President Trump for 4 straight years. And one day he follows the law. He reads the script in the Constitution for certifying Joe Biden. And Trump supporters are now saying, "Hang him." And so these Republicans are feeling that, and many of them have gotten death threats at home. I'm kind of used to that. They're not used to it. They're saying, look, we didn't sign up to this. I can understand that fear. And, for me, the fact that there are members of Congress afraid to impeach because the president has mobilized a movement that is threatening to kill them is in and of itself a reason to impeach the president. How can we have this in the United States?
Lastly, I wanted to ask you about your colleague, Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill. She's alleged that there may have been some members of Congress who possibly were working with people who were taking a tour of the Capitol January 5th. You signed on to a letter along with 30 other members of Congress asking for more information. What have you heard about this? Do we know specific members of Congress who were taking people around in the halls and sort of giving them a guided tour of the place the day before the insurrection?
I don't believe we know which members of Congress invited these tours in. We know that there were tours. There were groups of people who looked very much like they were there for the rally or riot the next day. And who knows, it may have been something innocent. It may be just members of Congress taking in their constituents and giving them a tour of the Capitol, or it could have been something much more sinister, actual collusion, helping the men who would lead that riot the next day to kind of case out the joint. We don't know. All we're asking for is an investigation because we do need to be absolutely certain that there were no members of Congress who were involved in this. We know some members kind of encouraged it rhetorically. There were members of Congress who spoke to the rally that morning, one of whom, Congressman Mo Brooks of Alabama, will be censured, I believe, by the House in a resolution that I'm leading probably next week or the week after, because he basically told the rally goers, march on the Capitol, take down names, and in his words, kick some ass. So we're looking at that. If there was more substantial collusion, we're going to get to the bottom of it, but we need to investigate.
All right, Congressman Tom Malinowski, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.